Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Vash Sky ParkCast. Skylanders, Sky Watchers, everybody come on in. The water is warm, as I usually say right there. But thank you so much for coming on in to our, a banger of a show right there, as just as she actually clearly pointed out right there. Yes, I do love that intro. Love that intro a lot right there. But it is a fantastic week. It is D23 week, which is very, very interesting because, over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll be inundated with all kinds of news coming out of the company. That's why we haven't really heard anything much from the company in the last few weeks right there. But we'll be inundated with all kinds of news regarding, Disney Plus, Hulu, streaming, maybe even ABC, a lot of stuff from the movies, and certainly parks. And that's where we step up to the plate right there to give you all the news that, is according to the theme parks that we so dearly love right there. It should be very, very interesting to go over all of this stuff. And guess what, folks? They are going to be live streaming at this time on Disney Plus. I believe it's 7 p.m. PT or 10 p.m. Eastern right there on Saturday, which should be very, very interesting. Indeed. Oh, look at this. Wolf will come on in here with the member for 1 month. The U.S. flag, black backlit keyboard is excellent. You know what? I try. I do. It's very interesting. I want something a little bit subtle, something a little bit me. So there you go, right there. You got the U.S. flag back there. Very, very cool. But as I was saying before, for the Experiences Showcase, the big parks panel that is hosted by D23, that will occur at 7 p.m. PT on Saturday right there. Now, I'm still in coordination with that park place, trying to see what they're actually going to do right there. Obviously, I don't want to stream over top of them, but whatever the case may be, we're going to actually figure out if we can actually host a watch-along. That would be very, very cool right there. Receive those updates and whatever they have in store for us in real time. Talk about it, chat about it. That should be pretty cool. But again, that's Saturday. And we should have the media walkthrough for people like, maybe the LA Times, OC Register, Mouse Info, Mouse Planet, Blog Mickey, all of those associated media entities right there. They should be walking through Thursday night. So just going to give you a little bit of a preview of what to expect over the weekend, because we'll be inundated with news, we'll be inundated with updates, and we'll be breaking these things down, for probably about 2 years, maybe even longer, as a lot of the information that we actually have about the Walt Disney Company's plans for its theme park operation actually stem from, 2 years ago, when they actually had the D23 Ultimate Fan event in 2024, around this time right there. So, should be really interesting, should be a lot of fun, but we have obviously got to cover the stories that maybe Disney Company doesn't necessarily want us to, and all of those associated theme park stories from all over the theme park world. Very interesting stuff happening in places like Hollywood, places like Orlando, places like California. I said it, Hollywood, maybe Anaheim. Very interesting stuff indeed. Look at that! Vash, the B-roll warrior right there. I do try. I was assembling B-roll all this morning right here, so hopefully you enjoy what I have in store for you regarding all of that. But first, Juliet coming on in here with the 5 British pounds sterling. Evening, Vash Sky ParkCast Skylanders and Sky Watchers and chat. Thank you so much, Juliet. Very much appreciate you, and thank you so much for modding for us there. Just Dutchy coming on in here, though, with the €6. Thank you so much for this. Just Dutchy says, like, share, and subscribe. I do appreciate that, and I do agree. I think that is something that you should be doing. Here we go. From Just Dutchy right here. No water. That's indeed. It's going to be our first story right here. It's all about no water.
Hey, Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, where you fellas going in such a hurry?
We's leaving.
Use what?
We's leaving.
Well, what do you want to do that for?
Why, you can't open a splash mountain when that mountain ain't got no water.
No water.
No water.
No water. It's always the case, isn't it? You just cannot do without the water right there. That is most unfortunate. We do have a little bit of housekeeping to do right here, and that is, it looks like that park place, we forgot the super chat. Ooh, we hate it right there, but we never leave a super chat behind from Ken Reinhardt for $2 right there, delivered 1:35 p.m. Eastern, it looks like. Welcome to the new Walt Disney Accountaineering. That is exactly what we're looking at right here, right? And it's so true, Ken Reinhardt, that he actually delivers this because, I mean, if you even listen to the last earnings call, the very last earnings call, I believe it was CEO Josh G. Morrow actually talking about how they go over every single one of their investments with a fine-tooth comb, right? They're heavily scrutinized in order to maximize that ROI later on. And, well, when you're working under that rubric, right, maybe it's why Lakeshore Lodge doesn't have any theming attached to it because, well, theming not only costs money to install, money to upkeep. So let's go ahead and do flat lines, straight lines, and let's leave the theming to basically paint. And so, well, that's kind of what we're seeing right here. Now, does that mean necessarily that the same level of care and consideration will actually be taken with some of these new attractions coming online for Walt Disney World in the next 5 years? We hope not. But I don't know. I haven't been necessarily encouraged so far. A lot of people breaking down that Piston Peak model that's been packed up and shipped out for Anaheim for its D23 showcase right there. Got to see that up close. Got to look at that. I'm sure we'll have HG photography on that in no time at all. Like I said, starting about Thursday is when they actually have the media go through, like the Experiences Pavilion and so forth. So we'll know very, very shortly, but not exactly impressed by what I've seen. However, what is impressive is our producer extraordinaire. That is Disney Fan 55. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a sound check with you guys. Disney Fan 55, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Ooh, that's fantastic right there.
And we have water.
That is good.
We have water. Now, the water bill was $270, but we got water.
No,
Yeah.
that's, you know, when you live out in the desert, folks, that's sometimes those things happen. Not good, but we do have water right there, which we're all grateful for because, man, imagine paying out all of those dollars in terms of points for your stay at the Boulder Ridge Villas right there and not actually having water to enjoy. That is crazy, but that is exactly what happened at the Wilderness Lodge over the weekend. Let's go ahead and get to that story right now. Water outage hits Boulder Ridge at Disney's Wilderness Lodge this 2 days ago by WW Magic. A water outage at Boulder Ridge, the Disney Vacation Club Villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, is affecting guests staying there. According to a report from guests, the Boulder Ridge water outage began yesterday around 3 p.m. So this was posted Sunday. So yesterday would have been Saturday over the weekend right there. Guests are describing low water pressure and non-flushing toilets. Oh, that's exactly what you want right there. Your toilets, not the flush. That's fantastic. One report on Reddit says that there's, quote, hardly any water pressure on faucets and toilets don't flush. Guests are being relocated to Disney's Old Key West Resort and Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort. Oh yes, two resorts that are certainly up there as a comparable for Boulder Ridge at Wilderness Lodge. Okay, refunds and bill adjustments are also being offered to affected guests, whether they're relocating or staying put. I'm sure that's a blanket policy, including everybody that's affected. Or is it case-by-case basis? We'll see. This is the second infrastructural issue at Disney's Wilderness Lodge in recent months. In mid-June, a total air conditioning failure at the main Wilderness Lodge building left guest rooms and 2 restaurants without cooling for several days. There's no word yet on what caused this particular outage and when water service will be restored. We happen to know that it lasted at least for 24 hours, which is no good. Could you imagine, by the way, too? I mean, in the Orlando area alone, we've gotten multiple heat advisories now. Central Florida heat index up to 112 degrees today. This is most recent reporting August 12, 2026 right here at the time of this recording. Could you imagine going down to Walt Disney World and not actually being able to take a shower even if you wanted to? Now, for me, I'm kind of like Bob Iger in this situation. I take 2 showers when I go to Walt Disney World. One at the morning, one at night, because Holy mackerel, it is hot. You are always sweating right there. And, that perspiration, it builds. And you want to go ahead and get that off as soon as possible. Unfortunately, if you were staying at Boulder Ridge, you didn't have that option. Disneyland 55, come on, this is not good. Why can't we get working infrastructure at one of the most famous Seven Seas Lagoon / Bay Lake resorts that Walt Disney World has to offer?
It really makes you worry. These resorts are so expensive, and now they're exclusive. Only the people paying can go, and you can't resort hop anymore. If anyone's ever been there, I mean that place is gorgeous, and you're going to pick the resort normally that gives you the feeling that you want. If you want to feel like, oh, I'm going to be in Hawaii, I'm going to probably stay at the Poly. If I want, fancy, I'm going to probably stay at the Grand Flow. Here, I want to feel like the wilderness. I want to feel like I'm glamping. So to put you up in like Sarasota Springs or somewhere else, it's just not the same feeling. But more than that, you have to think 24 hours. So people were probably gone to the parks, or they woke up and then they couldn't take a shower, couldn't get ready, couldn't do anything basically. And then, the last few incidences they've had with like the no air conditioning, they didn't even notify anyone. They didn't tell anybody. You just had to figure it out and go down there and go, what is going on? My room is hot.
Right.
So this, and especially when you're going to stay somewhere, normally you're going to stay as long as you can. I know we do. We're going to stay the whole time. Say we go to Disneyland, we're going to stay the entire week, and then we're going to drive from there. Maybe go to Universal Studios Hollywood. We're going to go to Knott's. Here, we want to stay the entire time because we don't want to move. In the 70s, we got all of our stuff stolen. Every single thing it was a car. It was parked in Hollywood. Every single thing we had was gone. They smashed in the windows, took everything. We didn't have a toothbrush to wake up with. And that was because we were moving from one hotel to another. So in this instance, you're taking these people, and you just imagine packing up your room, going to a whole nother resort. That's like a day. That's like a day gone.
Yes, and it's very, very interesting to actually bring that up, because people on Reddit were actually saying as much right there. So I believe it was OSU Blake Stir on the r/Disney World subreddit right here saying, water outage at Boulder Ridge since about 10 p.m. last night. Still no water at 6 a.m. Called front desk last night. No estimate on when it'll actually be fixed. Hardly any water pressure on faucets. Toilets don't flush. Not sure how widespread this issue is. He says, once the front desk, they're calling each room to move to another room, so waiting for my call. After a few hours, didn't get a call, so I was walking to the front desk, and they had a special desk in the BR lobby, Boulder Ridge lobby, that is. They said that they were working on it and would call me back soon. A couple hours later, around 2 p.m., Bell Services shows up, tells us to move. It shows up to move us out. We told him we didn't have a room number yet. I believe this is at Saratoga Springs, if I'm not mistaken, for this particular subrender. He tried calling. It was on hold forever. We loaded up, checked with the special desk on the way out. They said that we had a room number. Great. Bell Services ordered an accessible minivan, which arrived in about 10 minutes. Great. Arrive at Saratoga Springs Resort. They don't have a room assigned. What? Took a while, but they were finally able to get a room, finally got to take a shower. Lost a full day, not to mention or no mention of refund or compensation, at least at the time that OSU Blakester right here actually left this post on that subreddit OP post right there. Very, very interesting. Very, very, obviously you don't want this to actually happen. It's going to upend your entire schedule. It's going to upend your entire, resort stay. And to have in your mind, hey, I'm going to actually stay at these villas at this location, to be completely upended and move across property like that, that's no good. That's not how you want to actually stay or enjoy your resort stay right here. But in this case, you have no choice because there's no water. Like you said, Disneyland 55, exactly as you illustrated right here, happened, at least to one person affected by this.
For sure. I just can't stop. I can't stop laughing. What do you mean? It gets hot in August. Wild man of Yavin.
I'm told that's what happens. Yes.
Yes. He says, I think so. Wild man of Yavin. I think I might purposely not wear deodorant during my stay. If Disney did that to me, no shower equals no deodorant.
Oh no.
Hilarious.
It's a way of striking back right there.
Striking back. And then just hang around, the lobby. Is it on yet? Is it on yet? But, and especially kids. Think about it. We're going to go like a camping. We're going to, it's going to be great. We're going to, your brain says, I'm going to be here. And so, again, a lot of these people, this could be a once in a lifetime trip that they said, we're going to spend a little bit more money. We're going to stay here and we're going to enjoy this. Now you're going to go over there. That is not even reality as far as what you were thinking you were going to get.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think Saratoga Springs and Old Key West right there, yes, they are DVC locations, there's no question. But in terms of, where you're actually staying right there, the theme, the amenities and so forth, and where they actually place or rank these resorts, just quite not the same right there. So that's no good. That's why I believe the OSU Blakester was actually looking for compensation, because they're just not the same. They're obviously not the same point spread or valuation and so forth. So, yeah, it makes sense to me why you would actually want compensation, especially for the time lost. Now, Sean, formerly known as John, actually saying, boo-hoo, lost 2 full days at Disney World from food poisoning at the Yacht Club Steakhouse. That's no good, Sean. That was more or less the response that I got, which is not good. Obviously, that's, not a great experience whatsoever right there. Losing 2 days is terrible. That's awful. I have been in that position before, actually staying in Walt Disney World and losing a couple days because you're sick. It's no fun. It's not obviously great. But I do sympathize. Even if you do lose a day, it takes thousands and thousands of dollars to actually get to Walt Disney World, depending on where you're actually coming from, to actually stay there and have that time invested right there. Every single minute is precious, so to lose an entire day because of these issues right here, that's no good. Obviously, much more concerning losing them because you got food poisoning right there. That's awful. Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't happen either way. So I do, my heart bleeds for the both of you. Little Ventures here, though, member for 4 months. Hello, Vash. Hope you're having a great day. Well, do appreciate it. Hey, being that you're a member for 4 months, I'm actually having a fantastic day. So thank you so much for that. Oh, it's awful. Disney Fan 5 at this stuff takes place right here. I do believe we do have another Reddit post here from somebody else. That's by NW Blackman here. The water is out at Boulder Villas. No word yet on whether it's part of the deluxe resort wilderness experience or it's just the latest disaster for the resort this summer. Yeah, indeed. He posted an update later on. Water's still out. No update from the resort directly, but we did find a guest experience cast member who called the resort. They advised us that people in Boulder Villas would be moved out today and tonight. In this particular case right here, they said they were moved to Old Key West, really hoping Disney makes a pricing adjustment too. That's a good resort, but it's not a comparable price point. And of course, the family wanted to stay at Wilderness Lodge for their vacation, not Old Key West. As I brought up before, come on, man. You promised the kids, you promised the wife, hey, we're going to be staying at Boulder Ridge Villas, which is absolutely fantastic, and, well, comes at an elevated price point for sure. Maybe significant point investment there, and then you're moved. Not fantastic. And again, all of this is because of Disney. It's like, what is going on with the infrastructural requirements for some of these locations that they can't maintain them? I understand they had the freeze, over the winter right there, but come on, these are highly sought after properties right here. This is not like All-Star Music, for example. This is a premium location. And in the same summer, with these heat advisories and everything else, you have infrastructural problems to the point where basic necessities aren't available. It's crazy. Let's see
absolutely
right
crazy.
here.
It's absolutely crazy.
Absolutely. Indeed. Just actually coming in here. Wow, Disney time traveled back to the 30s. What is that in reference to? Do you know?
Probably when they didn't have too much water. No water. No
Yeah.
water.
Well, that's fair. Well, that's a good point right there. Yeah.
Had to go down to the well.
Yeah. He had to go down to the lake. And
Little house on the prairie.
wash off in the river or whatever. Yeah. Little house in the prairie. Indeed. Get right here coming in here. What's more wilderness than no shower? It's true. It's consistent with the theme, I suppose. Oh man. Oh, that's no good. Meanwhile, Bob Iger, he has 2 showers. He don't even get 1 shower over there at Wilderness Lodge. That's no good. And I'm sure he's getting a shower installed there at the Staples Center with his new purchase with the LA Lakers. Goodness gracious. WJB Daily right here. I thought it was only hot on July 4th per Bob. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He would know. He probably took 3 showers that day. And only that one year, when the attendance really dropped, it just was really hot in Florida. I mean, it was completely different from any other time of year. It's just the 4th. Just the 4th.
Just the 4th. Just that one day right there. Yeah, is that representative of every single summer? Clearly not. It's always different right there. Not great, not fantastic, but I guess no surprise. Getting less, being charged more. Just Dutchy coming in here. Isn't Disney legally bound to provide compensation or something similar? Water is a basic necessity. You would think that they would be bound to offer something, but from what I understand, even out in Florida, and this includes the disassembly of the RCID and so forth, I don't think they're legally bound to offer compensation. I could be wrong. I don't necessarily work in the hospitality industry, so maybe clearly there are places or Orlando or a similar city or county has something on the books in order to provide for consumers some protections, right? But they might not be obligated, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why they're saying, "Hey, we're going to move everybody." Right. But no good. No,
that's the compensation.
Good
so some people may have gotten their money back, stay somewhere else, or again they get moved. That is the compensation. But it's apples and oranges as far as I'm concerned. If I wanted to stay in this kind of environment and you put me at Sarasota Springs, it's 2 different worlds. It's that's the compensation there.
That's true. Now, you could ask for it. Like Bradley Bard here says, "Hi, I'd like your best resort option with the least amenities as possible. Thank you." So,
For the same
that's
price.
part of the negotiation. Then, hey, you got your money's worth right there.
For the
You
same
got all of that
price.
Oh man, so
this
good.
was a good one.
But notice how the water outage started after they drained the river in Tom Sawyer's Island. This by James All Day TV. Hey, that's a good point right there.
Yeah. Well, if you were at Disneyland, you could just take off your shirt, especially if you're a cast member, and you could have just taken a shower in the rivers of America.
That's a fair point.
Alternative. They could have sold tickets doing that.
That's true. Unfortunately, now there is no water in the rivers of America, which that could be an outlet for those of us staying at Boulder Ridge who didn't actually have access to water right
Hey,
there.
Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, where you fellas going in such a hurry?
We's leaving.
Use what?
We's leaving.
Well, what do you want to do that for?
Why, you can't open a Splash Mountain when that mountain ain't got no water.
No water.
No water. No water.
Fantastic. Love that. Love that clip. All courtesy to Jonas for actually finding that amazing clip back in the day. WJB Daily, though, coming on here with the $5. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Chapter 509, Section 221 of the Florida statutes. Public lodging establishments are legally required to be supplied with safe, potable drinking water. Hey! There you go. Love that. Love you coming on in here and providing the deets for us. I thought there was some kind of statue, but wasn't quite sure right there. So I didn't want to necessarily make a statement on that. But WJB Daily actually providing the facts for us. Thank you so much for coming on in here, because I think we were lacking in information in that regard. Thank you so much. The rogue attraction is at both Copper Creek and Boulder Ridge. It looks like it's just limited to Boulder Ridge. So I want to make that very, very clear. Although, you're talking significant price point, especially significant point, spend for DVC and all of that. So no good. Don't like to see this at all. Now, I guess, is it possible to maybe get around that Chapter 509, Section 221 provision right there by actually providing water to the room? Because technically it's drinking water. That'd be kind of interesting. But the fact that we're even having that kind of discussion when you're paying this much is insane. But I guess that's the modern, as I think Ken Reithart called it, the modern Walt Disney accountaineering experience today. Sean, the artist formerly known as John, saying they provided a comparable state. The laws involving timeshares are different. Indeed, they are. There is no question there. Sean also coming in here with but is the Disney Vacation Club members who theoretically own a part of the room, do you have the right to drinking water at your house? Very interesting. I'm sure that's the excuse that Disney lawyers will actually make if anybody decides to sue on behalf of this entire issue right here. They'll come up with some crazy excuse. There's no question about that. But Sean, very much appreciate the creativity there from a legal standpoint. Rogue Attraction Boulder Ridge was just refurbished just a year ago. I didn't actually know that. Rogue Attraction, thank you so much for throwing that in there, because that could be part of this whole controversy.
That really makes you worry right there.
Right.
What kind of work was done? Did they mess up something? It's kind of like if you're going to buy a house, we have houses around here, and a lot of them are flipper homes. So someone will buy them, and when we watch them, because we're original owners. We were the first ones in 1985, so we've got a lot of neighbors, and you see the garbage that goes in. They're trying to get the most money out of it. So are they doing this as cheaply as they can, and then it just causes problems down the road? It really does make you wonder.
Indeed, it should. I don't know. I'm unsure. But it does speak to maybe perhaps the quality of workmanship that we've actually been seeing in various places around Walt Disney World property going back a few years now. It's, I mean, well, man, you haven't. Yeah, exactly. The thing about the workmanship coming out of various projects is just, they're not great. They're not fantastic, especially when you consider like the Epcot lighting, for example. It's like, how many times are we go on this carousel trying to get this stuff to actually work? In-ground lighting that should be, bog standard by this point. Disney, unfortunately, has had multiple problems with that particular installation over there at the entrance of Epcot, and other lighted elements actually around Epcot as well. All of those having problems and having to be constantly refurbished and all of that. That's no good with so many different projects actually in the pipeline when it comes to Cars Land, when it comes to Villains Land, when it comes to Monsters, Inc., Tropical Americas, and all of their various attraction shows, restaurants, all of that. You do kind of wonder if, in fact, the recent work may be a reflection of the quality of craftsmanship that we might actually be getting with those associated products. Right. Hopefully not. We'll see right there.
Looks like we've got some breaking news.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get the breaking news visualization going. Here we go from Theme Park Wizard, Universal Studios Hollywood. Pass member preview just announced between 8/19 through 8/23. That's going to be for the Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift over there at Universal Studios Hollywood.
That's huge.
That
is
absolutely
huge.
extremely significant because we were very afraid of the recent work actually announced by Universal to add new noise barriers to Universal Studios Hollywood Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. I believe there's going to be 2 new barriers actually erected for that specific coaster right there in order to keep the noise levels down for those Toluca Lake residents at the bottom of the hillside there. We were all worried that that work would, push out the opening date of this, entire process.
Right.
It does indeed. We're making progress, though, without those official pass member previews. That is absolutely fantastic.
It is.
We're actually going to have Theme Park Wizard on tomorrow to talk about all of these new updates for all of Universal Studios, going over Universal Studios Hollywood's Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift right there. We're going to be going over maybe Twisters and a whole lot more, so definitely stay tuned for that. Disneyland 55, very encouraging.
It really is, because we don't know. They keep saying there's 2 more barriers that they're going to put in for the noise, the screams, and people that are losing their life is what it sounds like. And so we don't know what it is. Is it going to be a wall? Some people were worried that they would have to literally put more sound barriers around the ride itself. It almost sounds like there's going to be walls. Someone made a post saying they should just put the wall in front of these people's houses. Put it right in their yard. There you go. There's your wall. There's your barrier.
Exactly.
We don't know what the barriers are going to be, So this is really encouraging.
I've been inquiring about this myself personally, and according to various sources, including Theme Park Wizard, I'm hearing, and obviously by logical deduction as well, that it is going to be just walls. The Scream tunnels there that you actually see encased in glass, very similar to the Starway that's existed there since the 90s, I do believe. Those, that style of noise reduction right there won't be multiplied, which is very sad, especially considering that so many of the amazing views that they wanted to go ahead and maintain for this cliffside coaster right here are already, upended a little bit, given the structures that they already have in place. So the fact that they're going to add border structures, no good, don't like to see that, but I think this is Universal's gesture to play nice with the city, as we've gone over before right there. Now, obviously, they didn't have to be, they weren't necessarily obligated to do any of this stuff, but I think they're making the long-term play. Let's maintain good relations now with the city and Toluca Lake residents, so that if we indeed require future approvals and so forth, and guess what? We've already made the goodwill gesture now. It's very, very interesting. Rogue Attraction, though, can't do the active noise canceling like how Animal Kingdom does for Pandora. Yeah, there are some technologies and so forth that you could probably implement here. I know for a fact that they've adjusted the profile in order to mitigate screams actually emanating from the coaster directly in line with the Toluca Lake residents right there, so you can actually, because it's a 360-degree manual spinning coaster, you can adjust some of that in order to lessen all of that. Unfortunately, all of those precautions actually taken by Universal in order to mitigate noise, not enough, getting a lot of heat in the media and so forth. I know LA Times is right on them about all of this. So, yeah, it looks like they're doing all they can, but it didn't actually stem progress from this opening, which is good. Go ahead, Disneyland 55.
I have one way to resolve it. Give them all a pair of Bose noise canceling earphones. There you go. Earbuds, or they can get their choice. Give them all one.
Exactly.
There you go. Or maybe some sound machines. Here we go. Use a sound machine, and there you go.
Right.
The problem's solved. But we're worried about the walls, of course, because you get this beautiful scenery that you're looking, especially at night. I cannot even imagine this ride at night. It just, so you kind of wonder, are these walls, going to be expensive? Whatever they're going to do, it's going to be expensive. it's going to add to
it's
the
gonna be-
cost of this, you know.
It's going to be a significant investment.
Yeah.
But these are the concessions you actually make,
Right,
given the
right.
area and given to local lake residents, and given that you need approvals, maybe possibly from them later on. This is what you do. I will say, I think I agree with Theme Park Obsession. I think you wrote on X. This doesn't bode well for the future of maybe outdoor coasters in Universal Studios Hollywood going forward. I do have to agree with that assessment right here. What does that say for some of those plans? Not good, if there were any. Heavy Machinery will be doing double duty when they put up the sound walls. This is by Theme Park Wizard right here. Again, we're going to be talking with Theme Park Wizard about this in depth right there tomorrow, because I really want to pick his brain about all of this stuff. And I was hearing stuff constantly regarding this entire coaster. We want to go ahead and maintain a little bit of that surprise for you guys out there. One magical spark, though, coming on in here via X. Very, very cool. Thank you so much for watching on the X platform right there. Been very, very cool. Freedom Seeker Toluca Lake is a bit on the uppity side. They happen to be right there. Obviously, some highly prized homes indeed. And, well, this is, obviously when living next to a theme park, there are concessions that you make each way. Looks like Universal is conceding a bit of ground there. Archer Merchant, though, coming in here with the $5. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate you. Awesome stuff. People at the California parks are half joking there could be Lakers nights now, like they used to do with the Angels, still do with the Ducks. Yeah, that is really, really interesting. I know that they used to have like the sports teams nights at the various, I think, Disney parks as well back in the day. Did they own the Ducks? Did they own the Angels? Something regarding that, but that could be kind of interesting now that Bob Iger has taken control, along with Jared Kushner's brother, of the LA Lakers for $12 billion. Big time news. And again, as I said on That Park Place, on the 7-year anniversary of the opening of the NBA experience. That's when Bob Iger actually was down there with Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and opened that brief attraction there in Disney Springs. And I was wondering, and ever since I was like, why was he actually doing that? That's very odd. Very odd fit for Disney Springs. And the experience just didn't really quite, make up the loss as occurred with the closure of Disney Quest right there. So it was all weird all around. Couldn't figure it out. Again, Bob Iger doesn't make appearances at all in Walt Disney World. And usually when he does, it's usually to fit another goal of his, like in the case, for example, with the opening of Star Tours The Adventures Continue back in the day. I believe that was 2011, 2010. Can't quite remember right now. But when that attraction opened at Walt Disney World, you'll note that both George Lucas and Bob Iger were in attendance right there. Well, one of the outcomes of that meeting between the two men was the eventual sale of Lucasfilm itself right there. So what was the goal? Maybe perhaps with Bob Iger being there for the opening of the NBA experience, again, August 12th of 2019, why would he be there with the commissioner of the with the NBA? Well, obviously they have dealings with him when it comes to ESPN and ABC and all of that, but there must be a deeper meaning there. And then we heard when Bob Iger actually retired the first time in 2020 that he was looking to acquire the Phoenix Suns. And then it's like, oh, I see. Did we use company finances to erect something like the NBA experience, something that we knew would fail, in order to further ingratiate ourselves, maybe personally, with the NBA? That sounds preposterous, but, it is a thought that comes up with that whole thing. Not saying that happened, I'm just saying, a little fishy, a little weird. And now he finally got his team, the LA Lakers, and boy, oh boy, is that a team to have, especially being the California boy, but he is. Very, very interesting stuff. Thank you so much, Archer Merchant, for the $5, though. Very, very cool. Man, Going to be very, very interesting to see what actually happens with all of this and more. Disney owned both the Angels and Ducks in the 1990s. Freedom Seeker. Yes, I thought they did. And the reason why I keep going back and forth on that particular issue is because I remember reading about the time that like they were thinking about acquiring both those teams, and they obviously like sold them or divested their interests from them, and so forth. Like it's just that time in history was wild. That's what I'm saying. So certainly need to re-examine that myself. But Freedom Seeker, thank you so much for coming on in with the deets. One Magical Spark from X says, wow, if Bob takes over Disney again, does that mean Disney will own the Lakers? It looks like that's a private transaction with Bob Iger. So if Bob Iger were to come back, they technically wouldn't be owned by Disney, but there would be an association there for sure. Juliet, though, coming on in here, she needed to do more. It wasn't enough to provide the earlier British pounds sterling, the 5 there. No, she needed to have everybody join in the fun via a gifted membership right there. Thank you so much. Now, Sean, formerly the artist known as John, now has become a Sky Watcher. Absolutely super cool. That gets you, well, access to the Saturday program that we have, 3 p.m. Eastern right there with the Vash and Vixen show. Awesome stuff. Cutting all the charts right there. Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Juliet, for providing that. Our programming on Vash and Vixen this weekend might be a little different than what we usually do because it is D23 Expo. But I promise you, folks, it's going to be awesome. Definitely worth that membership. Very, very cool. All right, I think that just about concludes all of that right there. Now,
we have more breaking news.
Do we do?
We do.
What are
breaking? We can't wait.
We
Storybook Sorceress. Breaking. Bob Chapek announced he'll release a memoir about his time at Disney. That's what we were waiting for.
Really? Bob, is that a thing right there? Is that real?
I guess it's real.
Oh yes, allears.net. Oh my goodness, it is a thing. I do appreciate that, Storybook Sorceress. That we got to get into that right now
because we didn't get enough. We haven't. He's got to keep himself in the media at all times. We haven't heard enough from, Bob Chapek.
Wow. Well, we haven't heard. I mean, to be honest, though, we haven't heard anything about Bob Chapek because he's been silenced by that golden parachute contract right there that he allegedly received. And I've said before multiple times, if in fact Bob Chapek ever releases a memoir or a book going over this unbelievable time in the Walt Disney Company's history, I would be the first to purchase that. Well, here we go. In 2020, Bob Chapek became the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, taking over the role from Bob Iger. However, just 2 years later, stepped down so that Bob Iger could become CEO again. Somehow, Bob Iger returned. During Chapek's time as Disney CEO, he had to manage the company during multiple park closures around the world due to the COVID pandemic, as well as deal with some pushback from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis after he made comments about Florida's parental rights and education bill. Ah, yes, this famous quote right here. I do believe I have it.
Apologize for not being the ally that you needed me to be.
Not good. Well, now we might be getting a clear picture of what Chapek faced during that time because he is dropping a memoir that will include his time at Disney. Let's see right here. Gallery Books, a division of Simon & Schuster, will publish Chapek's memoir titled Behind the Castle Walls, My 30 Years at the Happiest Place on Earth. Amazing. With the book scheduled for publication September 29th. Whoa, coming up quick. The book will chronicle Chapek's time working for Disney, including his brief time as CEO. It will also highlight what happened behind the scenes that led to his dismissal in 2022. Oh, wow. I got to be on the phone with Vixen actually here. We might have to dedicate multiple of those shows just reading about his time. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be glorious. I cannot wait to read this. The book will also detail JPEG's childhood, his time in Indiana University and Michigan State University, as well as his jobs at J. Walter Thompson and H.J. Heinz Company. However, we imagine most folks are interested in his time at Disney, which began in 1983 when he became the company's marketing director for home entertainment. Yes, he was the guy that actually envisioned the vault as we know it today. He worked his way up the corporate ladder to eventually become the CEO in 2020, where he was heavily scrutinized. Within weeks of becoming the CEO, JPEG faced the COVID-19 pandemic challenges of closed parks, cruise ships, as well as closed theaters. Just 2 years later, he was replaced with previous CEO Bob Iger. Behind the Castle Wall, we'll delve into, quote, a thrilling story of ambition, power, and the price of Disney magic right there. Wow, this is absolutely fantastic.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
That's exactly what Bob Iger told him on his way out right there. We have been waiting for JPEG's description of what happened during this, like I said, this very pivotal time in the Walt Disney Company's history right here. I had heard, crazy stuff. Like, for example, JPEG was always envisioned to be the hatchet man, right? That he was, he was there as the CEO in order to make the decisions that maybe Bob Iger himself couldn't possibly do. It's just extremely interesting that we might actually get our first view into what actually happened from his very unique perspective, right? Because we've heard the company byline, according to all of this. We've heard, the company throw Bob Chapek over the bus, under the bus, actually, over and over and over again. We have heard some things emanating from people like Alex Sherman and some of the great reporting done actually by CNBC on this whole thing, giving us a window into the relationship distinct between these two men, but we haven't really heard his side, or that being Bob Chapek's side of the story. We've really only heard maybe perhaps one side. And between one side and the other is the truth. And so I really, really want to know his side of the story and see if we can connect them dots right there. What was actually going through his mind when it came to maybe the fallout from the Parental Rights and Education Bill, the complete destruction of the RCID, what he was thinking when it came to the operations of the parks and when they should actually be shut down. Obviously, we know that there was some disagreement there as to whether it was Bob Chapek's decision, Bob Iger's decision, or maybe even Gavin Newsom's decision to actually shut Disneyland down and to keep that park closed for 412 days. We know that there are some things regarding like the layoffs that occurred. I believe the company ended up laying off 28,000 employees during that shutdown. Specifically, I think it was like October of 2020 that occurred right there, which is very, very interesting. I know that Bob Chapek actually wanted to let go of those employees at a certain time. Bob Iger disagreed. He wanted to wait for legislation to come out of Congress to do that, and eventually they actually did go through with that route right there. So there's so much here that we have unending questions about. Hopefully we are illuminated via this amazing tome coming out of Bob Chapek right here. This is Fan 55. What are your thoughts here? And maybe what are some of the comments that we're actually getting from our amazing viewers?
We're getting so many comments. Thank you so much. I think Ken Reinhardt kind of sums it all up. It'll be titled "The Knife in My Back."
Absolutely. Oh my goodness gracious.
This is going to be a book.
Yes.
Because again, everyone has talked about him. We are surmising what happened behind the scenes, but he really was railroaded. He was really railroaded. But then in the end, he gave in. So he gave into a lot of the wokeism. He didn't want to, and then it just ruined his time there.
Yeah,
his reputation.
he did say, he's like, look, listen, I don't want to get involved in the parental rights and education bill because, I don't want the company used as a political football, right? Obviously, people are going to have strong opinions either way if we don't actually get involved when we never actually face that fallout right there. But obviously, Bob Iger putting him in a very bad position when making comments about that situation himself on X, which was no good. Then, I guess, Twitter, I suppose. And we know that Susan Arnold, right, who was the chairman of the board at that time, was, well, openly lesbian. And so apparently she wanted Chapek to actually come to come out and really stand at the forefront of that issue right there as representing the company. So you have disagreement in that whole field. And remember, Bob Chapek really does require Susan Arnold to be on his side because obviously she has a lot of power as chairman. And later on, as Ken Reinhardt pointed out right there, she is the one, along with, Dana Walden and Christine McCarthy, to actually contact Bob Iger. And I believe it was Susan Arnold who actually, offered the job back to Bob Iger ultimately. So we know that whole perspective. We understand that story. But I really want to know from Chapek's perspective what he was thinking, what was going on in his view, and so forth. I think it's profoundly interesting. James L.D. TV coming in here. How do we know Chapek won't say anything? And that is being told what to write. It's obviously that is return. And is a bunch of BS. Actually, one second here. I'm noticing something. Just want to make sure. Okay. All right. Want to make sure that was good. I know we're having some connection issues right here, so
Put in the fiber.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're talking about Disney corporate, right? So I guess obviously that's par for the course because
we ain't got no water.
Well, I guess Disney doesn't like us talking about some of these things, right?
Reducing costs is not necessarily one's favorite thing to do in running a company. It is a necessary thing to do often.
Yeah, Bink Con Pro actually asking if this book releases, then Bob Iger will be banned from Disney. Very, very interesting. There was a book that Bob Iger himself personally was attempting to silence, and that was, I believe, a book cataloged by a Wall Street Journal author there, or writer for the Wall Street Journal. We don't know where that case stands right now. I know there may have been some legal action taken, which is very, very interesting. I'm waiting for that book for sure, because apparently there were a lot of things in that book that Bob Iger didn't want getting out. The fact that maybe the same resistance or fervor wasn't actually levied against Bob Chapek in this instance maybe suggests that it won't be as juicy as we all hope it will be, but should be very, very interesting indeed. Oh, I'm roboting. Uh-oh. Am I back? Am I good?
Yes, it's good now.
Are we sure? Okay,
let
me just monitor the feed right here. Let me just make sure that we're good. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. It's thought we overcome those issues, but you never know. Let me see right here.
Do you remember what you were saying when it was throttling?
Oh, yeah. What? When it was throttling?
Yes.
Well, that was a little while ago. I didn't see that before. Ugh, I hate that when that happens right there. Do apologize. Well, let's go ahead and let's see if this jogs my memory right here, because we had Freedom Seeker coming on here gifting 10 Vash Sky ParkCast memberships. Thank you so much, Freedom Seeker. Very much appreciate that. I'm sorry for the connection issues, but I got to be honest, that makes it feel a whole lot better. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
For that.
Thank you. That
So
is
many
great.
Skywatchers. Now we have, what is it? You ate my burgers. I like the name. That's pretty good right there. Jim and John KS right there. TN Chris, TY. We have Dine Morris. We have Mark Lindsay. Troy McDonald. We have Lestat right there. That's pretty cool. I know Lestat. That's Marty out there. Very cool. Awesome stuff. Welcome to the Skywatcher family. Brer Oswald, hey, what are you doing over there? Brer, that's fantastic. Skywatcher, you are indeed. That's fantastic. Very, very cool. Teacher Tammy and HC5979. Thank you so much, Freedom Seeker. That is awesome. Very much appreciate you. And again, all of you guys, well, you are awarded a front row seat to the Vash and Vixen program, exclusive to members, exclusive to those Skywatchers out there, on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Very, very cool. As I was saying before, though, I roboted a little bit right there. Do apologize. There was a book, I think maybe perhaps that was the line there. There was a book actually authored by a Wall Street Journal writer that was going into this amazing time between, I do believe, 2019 and 2023 probably. And the word on the street from Puck, actually from Matt Bellany himself, he was suggesting that there was a legal defense, or a legal opposition, I should say, mounted by Bob Iger and the Walt Disney Company to stop the publication of that specific tome. Maybe some passages and so forth from that. Very, very interesting stuff. We're still waiting on the status of that one, but the fact that this same legal challenges weren't actually posed to Bob Chapek, especially because he might actually have a golden parachute. That is very, very interesting. Perhaps not maybe as juicy as we all hope. I hope it is. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I'm going to be buying it either way. Got to go through that book. I think we're going to learn some very interesting stuff indeed. How different is Josh Amaro from Chapek and Iger? I know you were asking questions about this actually last night during the simulcast, so I do apologize for not answering your question then. But I do think it's a good question because there's a lot of differences between these men. Bob Iger, very self-absorbed, as we have, obviously seen from a lot of his actions, especially in the later years right there. I'll say this, though. Bob Iger's not a terrible visionary. Certainly from when he started, right? I think he had a really good sense of the audience preference, kind of knew where the industry was going. And so I think that was a smart move on his part to actually purchase Pixar and infuse that talent throughout the company. So that's one up for Bob Iger right there. Obviously, the longer he was in the role, the less effective he was. All that culminating in that $70 billion purchase of Fox, which is a big mistake. The double down on streaming right there, that was a big mistake as well. Should have kept their license agreement with Netflix. I think they would have been much better off. So in terms of visionary, well, we obviously know where that led the company right there. Bob Chapek, very much a numbers guy. He's not a Hollywood guy. Bob Iger was very Hollywood. He was very... he wanted to be seen as a Hollywood mogul, wanted to be seen as an entertainment executive, wanted to be that guy who ran Tinseltown practically. Bob Chapek was not interested in that whatsoever. He was just interested in the numbers, just interested in effective management of the company, high yield, right, high reward, low risk, and maximizing profit wherever it could possibly be. One of the first things that he does when getting into the big seat is whatever money we can make from the parks division, we are going to make it. So that's why you saw, long previously established things like FastPass take a back seat to Lightning Lane because it was like, no, we're going to be revenue generating first. So that's the big distinction between the Bobs right there. When it comes to Josh, Obviously, Josh understands the accounting, having worked under both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, which is very, very interesting. Very effective. I see him as the car salesman, right? He'll tell you whatever you want to hear. And maybe his answers differ depending on who he's in front of. We certainly got to see a little bit of that on the earnings call, interestingly enough, using, terminologies and verbiage that maybe he doesn't necessarily showcase during, D23 expos, right? But I think his vision, I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit limited. And I do think he's a little bit like Chapek in that he's wanting to maximize returns, yields, and so forth. So maybe perhaps a little in the middle. Hard to say right there. But I don't know. The how Josh Imaro will ultimately perform, his story hasn't been written yet. He just got in the role like a few months ago. So he hasn't even been given a full year. And again, a lot of the entertainment decisions, well, those we don't see for maybe even years, because those projects that you approve at the entertainment level, obviously it takes a few years for those to develop, whether it be movies, theme parks, etc. We just quite don't know enough yet. But the story still developing. Thank you so much, BeanCon, for that. Let's see right here. Dude, man, cuz, thank you so much. Very much appreciate you gifting 10 Vash Sky ParkCast memberships. Thank you so much. That's
fantastic.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
Thank you,
Let's
Dude
see.
Man
We have
Cuz.
Tina Guzman, Nameless Gamer, Magically MJ, Lori M667, Memoir, I do believe, right there. Very cool. Siri Black, Kathleen Fantauzi, right there. The Daryl Chin, John, and Felicia Mulaney right there. Thank you so much, Dude Man Cuz. Thank you, Freedom Seeker, also as well. Let's not, very, very cool, but Dude Man Cuz, thank you. That is awesome. That is super cool. And again, all you guys, Vash Sky ParkCast, Vash and Vixen at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays. You now have the way to get into that stream. Fantastic. Very, very cool. Awesome stuff indeed right there. Oh, so good. So good. This is Fan 55. Been fantastic right there. Look at that. Vixen's
been a
up
great
in
show.
there. Yes, Vash.
Thank you
we
so
need
much.
story time with Vash and Vixen. I know. We might have story time. And Bob Chapek might be our main protagonist.
That
Indeed.
would be fantastic.
I agree. Is there anything else we're missing in the chat before moving on to our next story?
Well, here we go. Let me just bring up some of these here. Income, this book releases, then Bob Iger will be banned from Disney if this book
Right.
gets released. Oh my goodness, could be. He probably won't be able to, I don't know, resort hop anymore. He'll be banned that way.
I think his resort hopping privileges will be revoked. Maybe that goes for Chapek as well,
Put
depending
him
on what's
in
actually in there.
Put him in Boulder Ridge. There you
that's-
go. Perfect.
But what will he do without his showers? No
water.
that's- Oh my goodness gracious! Can't do that. That's impossible. James All Day TV. Didn't Chapek's NDA expire? It might have. It might have. So let's see. I mean,
Ooh,
if we
that's
do the
interesting.
timeline, yeah, he is forced out. I think December of 2022. Is that right? So now it is 2026. Pretty close to 5 years right there. Maybe it did expire. And so maybe, he can tell all. I'm going to be interested either way. There's no question about that. Hope to see all the new members on Vash and Vixen. We have a great time on Saturdays. We do. And man, did I feel really terrible that we couldn't actually do that Ancient Electrical Parade show. I definitely want to do it, but it didn't actually occur last Saturday right there. Don't worry, guys. We'll be making up on that very, very shortly. 5 years already. We're short of 5 years, but we're practically, we're closer to 5 years than we are to 2 or 3. So there you go. Just remember, soon to be Disney legend Bob Iger. Oh yes, that's true. Frame Seeker, you're right. It's kind of like the Sir, right? I think that's what Jared said last night. When you refer to these people, you have to say Disney legend, right, in front of their names, in order to honor them specifically, right there. So yeah, Disney legend Bob Iger.
Soon to be probably Sir Iger. I mean, come on, he's got to be a legend right off the bat. He just cannot stay out of the media, the attention.
I already set my countdown for the book. 48 days.
Nice,
oh man,
nice.
I think I might do the same thing. Honestly, I mean, I got to get this book. We got to read from it. I think it's going to be a very illuminating, indeed. Oh boy. Well, turns out, Dead Man, they actually do tell tales.
Dead men tell no tales.
In this case, they write books. Very, very cool. Cannot wait for that. But there's a story, actually, Disney 55, that's been very intriguing, to say the least. This comes from Newsweek right here. It looks like it was reposted by MSN, so we'll read it from there. Woman meets Peter Pan at Disney. Video goes viral for, quote, revolting reason. This is a story by Claire Dodds right here, August 10th. 3-minute read, it looks like. Disneyland is a magical place for people of all ages, keeping the magic of childhood alive even for adults. However, many people are of the opinion that even at Disney, where adults are encouraged to recapture their childhood, there is a line that should not be crossed. Recently, one woman on TikTok, user Tony, or Baby Tony 99, as she's known, has demonstrated to many where that line is. Tony's recently gone viral for her love of the Disney character Peter Pan, a Neverland resident who never grows up, a mantra that Tony has adopted herself, it would seem. On each trip to the park, Tony seeks out the lost boy, bringing him gifts and following him around the park, chatting and taking photos. Where the internet has become concerned is the amount of time that Tony spends with Peter Pan each trip, raising concerns for the actor's comfort. The amount of footage is revolting, says one harsh critic, writing on TikTok in the replies there, pointing out that just one video, edited for time, was several minutes long. Many more videos of the woman interacting with the character exist as well, including a series of photos documenting every single time that she met the character since 2015. Quote, I know he went on a cigarette break after this, said another user, sensing fear behind the Disney cast member's eyes. Still, others raised concerns that Tony is preventing the actor from properly doing his job, reminding the woman that she is not the only person he has to interact with each day. Quote, girl, this is an adult. Let him work with the kids. I do believe a TikTok user, Nicholas Holiday, actually had some commentary on this particular story right here, which we'll be hearing in just a moment right here. But first, I kind of want to go ahead and go through some of this video right here because it's very, very interesting to say the least. Here we go.
Why are you looking at me like that? What did I do?
Nothing.
You're already dressed like pumpkins?
Yeah, it's Summerween.
That's not a real thing.
And we love Halloween so much that we celebrate it twice a year.
Too, but if you celebrate it all the time, it's not special.
You should try it.
No.
Think about this. Like, okay, carving pumpkins, but instead you carve watermelon.
Why would you do that?
It's fun.
Do you put a candle in the watermelon too?
Sure. Why not? Do you want?
I guess watermelons are tastier than pumpkins.
Exactly.
That is true. But you can't make watermelon pie.
And then if you want to be like, you need 2 things a year. I can be 2 things a year instead of just one. Yeah.
Why?
That's fun.
Again, this particular interaction lasts about 55 seconds, which by itself, not so bad. But again, that was precipitated by this exchange here.
Bye. What? Whoa! Where did you get this?
I made it.
No, you didn't.
I made it.
This is really nice.
Thanks.
What am I supposed to do with it?
I wanted to take a picture of you with it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you guys look just like each other. If you were a duck.
Hey! Perfection. Oh, if I was a duck?
Yeah.
I guess you're right. Amazing.
So would your duck quack or would it crow?
Oh, it would definitely crow.
Peter Pan, by the way, doing a pretty good job right there, staying in character and all of that. But that interaction right there is about 5 minutes long. See what Nicholas Holiday has to say about these interactions here.
This is who people are calling the Peter Pan girl, and people cannot help but feel bad for the actors that play characters at Disneyland. So this girl clearly is a Disney adult. She will go to Disneyland specifically looking for Peter Pan and has an obsession over him. In just this one video, which is rather long, you can see she's not only brought him a gift, but then completely takes up his day walking around, and in this part you can see that he is so glad to see the Mad Hatter to hopefully take some of the pressure off of this girl interacting with him more than she normally should. She continues to stick around Peter Pan. He has to keep up this character with her, talk with her, and then continue to walk around the park with her. And the conversation online is for adults to stop this behavior at a younger age so that they don't become odd in society when they grow up. I feel like at some point in everybody's life, our parents have told us that you need to grow up and stop playing with toys and living in Fantasyland to a reasonable degree. People can't help but genuinely feel bad for these actors that are playing Peter Pan, but what do you guys think? This is
apparently she's been doing this, going to these various Peter Pan characters and so forth, hanging out with them for an extended amount of time since 2015, I do believe. It's been going on a pretty long time here, and that's why we're talking about this story because look, hey, listen, if you like the characters, great, fantastic, awesome. That's part of what Disney's there for, right? And especially Disneyland, where these characters happen to walk around. Could be, right up your alley right there. But at what point does it become maybe perhaps too much? That's kind of a discussion I wanted to have with all of you right now, because I think this is just a very interesting, lesson in psychology, maybe perhaps. Disney 55, what do you think about all of this? I mean, are we seeing something that actually rises to the level of maybe perhaps harassment, or is this all in good Disney adult fun?
No, I think it rises to harassment. Absolutely. She's taking his time. So again, he's not being able to interact with children. There's a literal psychologists literally say, with the Disney adults that just don't grow up, they call it the Peter Pan syndrome.
Correct.
And this is just it on steroids here. Like she's been following for years. And so we've got a lot of people in the chat. Thank you so much, Justice Dutchy. That's creepy. Freedom Seeker. These are the Disney adults everyone warned you about. Just to follow him around, he can't do his job. So she's really putting his job at risk, as far as I'm concerned.
It's a little concerning. I'm not going to lie right here. In the article, it says, so-called, quote, Disney adults are a well-known aspect of the Disney experience. This genre of Disney fan has long been a subject of both criticism and fascination, with some calling them self-infantilized, overly excitable, and even, quote, the most hated group on the internet. In theory, Disney adults are some of the biggest fans of Disney, but may have condemned the way that these full-grown adults have embraced something that they believe should have been reserved for children. Quote, while I don't condone trolling, I do think there's a serious psychological issue when a grown adult is reduced to tears over the sight of someone in an animal costume, writes one former Disney employee on Fodors, which is very, very interesting. The phenomenon has been widely known by psychologists, giving it a name, known as the Peter Pan syndrome, as you beautifully pointed out there, Disney 55. Quote, people with characteristics of Peter Pan syndrome may find it challenging to adopt adult responsibilities, have difficult maintaining healthy relationships, and have a fond nostalgia for their youth, explains Medical News Today. It's kind of interesting, too, because the flip side of this is, I think they call it Wendy syndrome, where you actually have a spouse or somebody actually taking on all of those responsibilities for the person maybe suffering from Peter Pan syndrome in order to allow for that addictive quality to continue, which is very interesting. An obsession. In Tony's case, this Peter Pan syndrome may have taken on an even more literal nature. Quote, I feel like at some point in everybody's life, our parents have told us that you need to grow up and stop playing with toys and living in Fantasyland to a reasonable degree, says TikTok user Nick Holiday, as you just heard. Perhaps Tony's particular obsession with Peter Pan has to do with her own refusal to grow up, seeing a bit of herself in the beloved character. However, many online have raised concerns that this is all Peter Pan is, a character being played by a real person. Whether Tony is aware of this is less clear. And obviously, you know, a person of the opposite gender following a character actor like this to such a degree, I mean, just imagine if these roles were reversed. What would our assessment of this be like then? Obviously, that is factored into the equation to some degree right there. Look, if you're a character actor, you know, obviously you have no problem with it. Maybe that's one thing. But I kind of do feel, Disney 55, that there should be a method by which a character actor, when actually coming off stage, right, can perhaps tell somebody at Disney, hey, look, listen, this person was with me like the whole time. I tried to shrug her off. I tried to maybe move away from her, and yet she still followed me, pestered me, and did all these things. Could you please maybe talk to this specific guest on my behalf, right? That could be something that could be maybe perhaps implemented here. I've not really heard of a character's ability to do this, but I do think there might be the necessity for something like that. What do you think about this?
There might be a necessity for that. The interesting thing too is these characters have cast members with them. You know, they're kind of in the distance. They stay there. So that's what I'm just, where are they? Okay.
So this is interesting, right? Because I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, look, what about your handler? Handlers are only in place for costume characters, not face characters.
Okay.
Interesting distinction there.
Wow. The problem too is, well, Disneyland has so many magic key holders that go every single day. Every single day. And so when they had the reservation system, it kind of broke that, you know, every single day of their life, 365 days a year. This person obviously has, you know, a magic key. She's going there every day. She's been going for 10 years following him, but she's really keeping him from doing his job, in my opinion. And we don't want it to be like Walt Disney World, where you have to wait in line for 1 to 2 hours with your child that just wants to see Peter Pan.
I agree.
We enjoy this, that they can walk around freely. So if you have people just stalking them, that might have to stop.
I love roaming characters. I love the idea of roaming characters. I actually do despise the fact that at Walt Disney World you can't even see your most favorite characters unless it's behind not only a line but in this kind of this atmosphere that's constructed, right, that has a queue, that has an attraction entrance and all of that. I don't like that. I like the naturalistic tendency that Disney has taken with characters at Disneyland specifically right there. But as Disney fan beautifully pointed out right there, this is only maintained if in fact, you know, guests play nice. And when they don't, you know, that's when we get the implementation of new policies or new different procedures regarding character interactions. That's not something we necessarily want to see. Look, if you're an adult and, hey, you like, you know, talking to characters and all of that, I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing that. But I'm saying that at what point does it become obsessive? At what point does it become necessarily unhealthy? And at what point, indeed, in all of this, does it become maybe at what point does it impact the cast member actually working that character? And that's the thing. That's the point I want to bring out here. It's not just, you know, the health of maybe perhaps baby Tony 99, but we also have to think of the cast member here as well. are they a victim in all of this? Not sure. I'm not sure if this constitutes as harassment or any of the, very strong terminology associated with this. But at the same time, I think it is something that maybe should be considered at the very least right here. Bing Kong Pro says, I will say this, the plushie is cute, but she's preventing the cast member from doing his job. I do agree. Very much agree with that. Mad or Cat, I like it. They usually have a time they wander around, a time they take lines for photos and autographs. Indeed, that's true. I know that's one of the distinguishing elements from Disneyland as opposed to Walt Disney World. Works a little bit differently. I do love that these characters like go on attractions and so forth with little ones. That's very cool. We've obviously seen like Mary Poppins, for example, actually step on to the King Arthur's Carousel at Disneyland and ride that around right there. That's very, very cool with the steed jingles right there, which was dedicated to Julie Andrews for the 50th anniversary of the park. So that's very cool. I love that. I think that's great. I think that should continue. But obviously, some things, according to the climate that we live in, sometimes have to change. Like, for example, the security procedures, right, to get into the park. For, close to 50 years, you had to walk through any security. And obviously, after 2001, the climate changed. The atmosphere changed. The culture changed in order to mandate those security procedures at the front of each particular park that we enter. And now even, shopping districts like Disney Springs, like Downtown Disney, even City Walk. So these things change given this cultural climate, and it's very fascinating to document all of that. Are we on the precipice of that happening now? We might be. Our Gentum to a 1, is this the same girl every single time in this video? Yes, from what I understand. This is all taken from Baby Tony's TikTok. So I'm assuming this is all the same woman right here throughout the years. Again, this is like a 10-year time span that we're actually seeing this from, which is very, very interesting. Disney 55, was there anything that you wanted to add to this or maybe highlight in the comments?
There's so much here. Vixen Sky here. She says, let's see here. I saw on TikTok that she buys a lot of Disney merch and Disney allows her to do this. Oh. So they're not stepping in at all. It's just, she just kind of takes over. And in the background, some of these shots, you can see kids waiting to talk to him. And he's trying to get away. He's trying.
Yeah, he's trying, and then he's followed. So, and maybe there's a financial incentive there to maybe not necessarily step in with, between some of these interactions right here. The Magical Spark there on X says this is the one time Peter actually wants Tinkerbell to intervene. Yeah, exactly. Right. There's, yeah, that's for sure. And look, I've seen it too. We were talking about the gender roles here and if the dynamic was reversed, right? I've seen not only people trespassed, but arrested concerning some of their conduct as it relates to males and Disney princesses. So, Disney does take this seriously, at least in one direction, but maybe, perhaps the same fervor should be taking, even if it's in the other direction. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting question. Let's see, Kit Kat here. She supposedly she supposedly has waited for him outside the park for when he gets off shift. Word is she was banned from the parks for 2 weeks because of that. Cannot confirm that is true. That's interesting. I did hear about the possibility of her maybe perhaps being banned. I think Nick Holiday produced something in this regard saying it wasn't true or whatever, but maybe a temporary suspension. That's interesting. That's very interesting. If in fact that happened, that's getting
into the realm of stalking at that point.
Oh yes.
He's a character here. Now you're talking about his off-duty life. So that's going beyond just greeting him, meeting him in the parks, and taking up all of his time.
And some people have actually used that terminology, in fact, regarding this whole situation, even without the additional information as provided by KitKat. Do appreciate you for providing that right there. If that is true, oof, that's no good. I wouldn't be letting her off easy in that case. Well, man, if you haven't, there was that alleged SE as it's on Ariel a few years ago. It left her crying right there. Yeah, there's been a number of instances in which, let's say, males have, for lack of better terminology, gotten a little handsy with those princesses, and that's no good. Seriously, charges filed. I don't tolerate that at all. There's no question about that right there. But the fact that this woman in particular has been able to obsess over this character to this degree, right? Maybe preventing him from carrying out his duties, especially for children right here. That's not good either. Erica Raff, I am observing something interesting in these videos. Why doesn't he approach a child when there is one around? Some clips, there is a child around. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, okay, we got to get going here. Let me go meet some other people. It looks like he's fully engaged.
Yeah. And so, look, this is why I bring this up, because I think it's nuanced, right? You could have a character actor taking on the role of Peter Pan who is okay with this, and then maybe another who isn't. So, like, what happens when one character actor provides signals to this guest saying this is okay, and then the other is not okay? Like, which one do you follow ultimately there? Do you distinguish between the two? I think it's a very nuanced thing here that is very, very interesting. Could it be stage? Possibly, but there's a lot of footage that you would have to build up over a period of time in order to elicit this kind of reaction right here. KitKat, woman got awfully handsy with Jack Sparrow.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Gaston too, and he told
Gaston
her off.
as well.
He was like, "No, get your hands off of me. Get your hands off of me."
It was one of the reasons why Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp's character, didn't actually walk around Disneyland for a period of time. Is because for a while there, it's just he was always accosted, and there were issues related to that character actually walking around. So very, very interesting indeed. It's been 10 years. I think this Peter will age out soon. Yeah. That's typically what happens right there. The lifespan of a face character, unfortunately, very short. Oof. Don't like talking about this kind of stuff, but I thought it was worthy of a mention right here. It obviously elicits very, I think, intriguing discussion. I think discussions that should very well be had, and I do hope that Disney's doing all in their power to protect their cast member, their employee right there. We've obviously heard some horror stories associated with the establishment of their new union representing these characters and so forth. So, maybe in fact, if this union, I know that it's in negotiation right now with Disney. They still haven't had a contract after 2 years, which is very odd. But maybe perhaps this is one of the provisions they should be asking for, some reciprocity or a procedure put in place so that cast members can be better protected by unwanted advances, let's say. Whew, man, not good. Don't like going over that kind of stuff, but to the very wild man, if you haven't, WW, they have handlers with them at all times. Why doesn't Disneyland? Again, Walt Disney World doesn't have the range of distinct characters that walk around like Disneyland does. And so Disneyland with face characters actually roam, like the Mad Hatter, for example, Mary Poppins, Bert, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and others. Any of those face characters don't have handlers. Maybe, in fact, that's what this union should be asking for. Again, maybe more mitigation efforts in place in order to prevent conduct like this in the future. Alrighty. I think it just about concludes that one right there. Ooh, just don't like covering that, but we've got to. We've got to, provide those stories because it is very important, I'm sure, to those out there. Let's see. Let's see what we got right here on the prospectus today. Protect cast members. I agree. Storybook Sorceress. Very much agreed. Indeed. Did we miss that super chat earlier from Juliet? For 2 British pounds sterling? We might have. Okay. Well, I do apologize. Thank you so much, Juliet. Very much appreciate you with a 2 British pounds sterling. Like, subscribe, and share. I do agree with her. Like, subscribe, share, all those things very much help us out. And let's see right here. I think we got Juliet's first one right there. Got that one. Oh, here we go. O2RR. This one I missed. I do apologize, O2RR. Very much apologize for that. One for the 199. Down payment to extend tomorrow's night stream. Oh, I don't know about that. Obviously, we don't want to stream over our friends over there at the M4 Empire. But I have been giving consideration to maybe perhaps earlier start time, maybe going for the full 2 hours, or perhaps even going after Pro does on Thursday. Gotta work it out, but
maybe I'm
thinking about it.
Put out a poll, Steve.
Yeah.
Would people like it at a different time?
I think a poll is the way to go. OG55 leaving. I do apologize, guys. OG55 leaving some nice comments and words there. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate you, OG. That is awesome.
You do research your stuff. So he says nobody researches this stuff more than him. Smash that like button. So show him some love. And yes, you do a lot of work behind the scenes. The B-roll, the research, getting everything right and together.
Oh, yeah. But it's all for the love of the game. It's all for the love of you. So I do appreciate you watching and you giving me your time. It's very interesting stuff happening in the world of theme parks, though. Obviously, Six Flags, they had their quarterly earnings report, which I do believe was Q2. Yes, it was. See right here from Andrew Hyde, attendance net revenue up on a same park basis. So they distinguished in this quarter between the parks that they are selling and the parks that they are going to have in their inventory from then on. That's what same parks means, basically, is that it's a comparison between the parks that they will have from now into the future, separated out from the parks that they are selling. So that's kind of where you're getting that from. Net loss widened by 123% to $194 million from $87 million. Not good. Obviously, the stock taking a little bit of a dive after this earnings call, which no surprise right there. We do see a couple of interesting figures, though, from the reported basis, same park basis. We'll go with same park because obviously we want to go ahead and look at the parks that are not just within the portfolio, but the parks that they'll be keeping here from that deal in which they're selling off, I think, 7 parks or so. Net revenues totaled $864 million, an increase of $20 million, or 2.4% from $844 million. Net loss attributable to Six Flags Entertainment Corporation was $194 million, compared with net loss of $87 million. Adjusted EBITDA, which is their profit line right there, was $249 million, increase of $16 million, or 7% from $233 million. Attendance totaled 13.1 million visits, an increase from 4% from 12.7 million visits. You can actually see right here that if you included all of the parks, including the ones that they will be offloading very soon, you can see that attendance actually declined versus you had an attendance increase with those parks that are part of the core here. So that's why it's one of the reasons why they wanted to offload those parks right there. They were dragging down their figures, which is very, very interesting. We have Seeking Alpha here. Six Flags retains a sell rating and $13.75 price target, citing balance sheet concerns despite operational improvements. Same park revenue rose 2.4%. Attendance increased 4%. Just the EBITDA grew 7% right there. The $367.2 million Georgia partnership payment due January 2027 strains liquidity. Blocks buybacks pushes net debt to $5.27 billion. Why am I going over all these numbers? I'm going over the fact that Six Flags, they need money. And they need money from any place that they can get it. And for people going to Knott's Berry Farm, that includes you. Here you go. From 5 days ago, this at the r/Knott's Berry Farm subreddit right there by NACUAP12. That's what I'm going with right now. 3 tiers of dining plans now available. So previously, you get a dining plan, you can go every single day, 2 times a day. Pretty good, right? Well, now they have caps on those. You can see right here, for the 2027 all-season dining pass add-on regular, you can enjoy up to 20 meals for $139. For the 2027 all dining plus add-on regular, enjoy up to 30 meals plus double your discount at $179. And if you want that unlimited meal option right there, you'll be spending $500 right there. Ryan Theme Park, $500 for an all-season meal plan at Six Flags. If you want to use it at more than one park, they are out of their minds if they think that people are going to actually pay this. And the 2 lower tiers are restricted to home park and have caps. Remove the home park BS, at least. Yes, indeed. It looks like the lower tiers only include meals at your home park. I do believe they're going to be using, I guess, analyzation or data in the future to determine what your home park is. That's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes over right there. But you can see these plans illustrated as you see right here. Now, I remember covering from Salim Basul, the previous CEO of Six Flags before this merger right here, that he was looking to do away with dining plans or heavily restrict them and so forth in order to increase revenues and obviously bring in more of an ongoing revenue structure rather than people front loading for meals. And I think he said Walmart customers, kids being dropped off, getting meals, leaving, that kind of thing. He wanted to stop all of that. Well, it looks like that plan is now in progress right here. So people in this subreddit are talking about how, yeah, they were bleeding cash from these dining plans. Now all of this stuff is changing. Disneyland 55, we talked about meal plans available at specifically Knott's Berry Farm and how it's kind of crazy that you can walk in as an annual pass holder with a meal plan and get 2 meals every single day, pretty much no matter what. And then they give you, you have the option of putting it into go boxes. You can actually leave the park with those meals.
It's unbelievable.
It is kind of crazy, right?
Yes, and I would do it if I lived there. But it is insane. And the lines for these, whatever dining plan was participating, even Panda Express was participating dining plan, all the lines were super long because there were so many annual pass holders. The meal plan used to be $144 or something like that, under $200 for all year. You could just get meals. So what people would do is they would just go, after work or whatever, and they would park, and they have a free a couple hours parking. They would park, go in, get their meal, and they would give them to-go boxes. Now, my sister was a caterer. She owned her own bakery. Those to-go boxes, they're expensive. Normally, you would say, they should have said, no, we're not going to give foil. No, we're not going to give, this is to be eaten in the park. But they would literally just hand them out. Lines are super long. The food started getting really a lot lower quality. I mean, that Knott's Berry Farm was built around good food, the chicken dinner restaurant. And so it's really sad when you have, you're giving away all this food. There's no way you can keep it up. So with these prices here, this is 25% off. So normal price is $5.99. for the all you can eat. And it needed to be done. We've been talking about this for years. How are they giving these people all this food every single day and making money?
I think you detailed at least some of the strategies that they've employed in order to give out this food for these meal plans in order to satisfy these guests right here. They've substantially lowered the food quality. I mean, there's just no question about it. It's just not the same as it was like 10 years ago, which is most unfortunate right there. But in addition to that, you have crazy amounts of lines that have manifested ever since these food plans have been established right here. So every single restaurant location just has insane demand from people looking to satisfy their quotient right there, right? And then I think for regular guests, the food pricing has just skyrocketed. You go to Disney, a little bit elevated, a little bit expensive, but it's not outrageous. And some of these things were $20 for a burger, that kind of stuff. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, it was like $18 for popcorn or something. It was ridiculous because a lot of these meals, depending on what you bought, had snacks included, and then you had the drink add-on. Kit Kat saying that Panda Express now only has plates, no more to-go containers. That's great. Right. They should all do it. But that's an issue.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you're not going to even mandate that people actually have to be there in order to consume their food, I mean, you can just imagine the amount of participation, let's say, that people would engage in order to get the most from their meal plans. And it is just absolutely insane. Freedom Seeker coming in here, the lines were stupid long at all food places last time. I was like, nuts. Yeah, indeed. And for us who want to actually pay, right, for a meal at your theme park establishment right here, we weren't able to, because the line is littered with people looking to satisfy their meal plans. It is absolutely insane. It's crazy. It shouldn't be happening, and yet it was. And it happened for years. Now, do I fully agree with Salim Basul's his entire commentary regarding this issue? Of course not. I don't believe these are Walmart customers or whatever. But you also have to think about maybe the kind of clientele you would invite by having something like this be so accessible as it was before in the past, right? It's I suppose it's a consideration. It's also, I'm sure kids were taking advantage of this as well, which, it's like you want to encourage visitation by actually having a meal plan, and I can see the value in doing that, but the ramifications that come with some of these decisions right here, it's just unsustainable. And for a Six Flags Corporation looking to really maximize value for shareholders and getting all of the revenue that they can to be generated, when you have customers or guests, as I have been, at Knott's Berry Farm, disinclined to actually pay for food because of the lines, because of the diminishing quality, etc., that's a person who would give you willingly money for the bottle, and yet they can't because you're subsidizing based on the price of the cow that you're giving basically for free to everybody else.
Right.
It is kind of crazy, right?
Well, we went to SeaWorld, 3 years ago, going on 4 years ago. Went to SeaWorld and got the all-day pass because we're not annual pass holders for Orlando, obviously. And the food was almost unedible. And you looked at the regular price that people would pay, $20, $30, whatever, for just garbage. And we went to the barbecue, went to the burger place. It was really almost unedible. It was it was terrible food.
No good. SeaWorld. Look, I know a lot of people really like these parks. I'm not saying that they're bad parks for implementing these policies or setting these food plans higher or whatever. Just saying, when it comes to food quality, at least at SeaWorld Orlando, right there, it wasn't that great, and it was atrociously expensive. And it was the same effect that we had seen previously in Asbury Farm. It's just, this is what happens. You can't have everybody buy into, $200 or so, right? And be granted a year's worth of unending food. That's just kind of crazy, especially in the modern era right here. I mean, Costco doesn't even do that, right? It's $60 for a membership for a year, but you're still paying for every single item that you get. Now it's ridiculously cheaper than other establishments. There's no question about that. But, in that context, it works. And it's kind of interesting if you were to buy into like a discount plan where things are significantly discounted. Maybe I can see that working. But the way it currently stands right now, yeah, these prices had to climb. And there had to be restrictions of some kind, because I really do believe that Knott's Berry Farm and the entire Six Flags Corporation we're losing their shirts on this deal.
Oh, yes. Kit Kat, they were subsidizing people's food bills. It was never meant for that. So
right.
I'm glad they did this. Yeah, because, Knott's Berry Farm, and Disney, they're right around, it's residential. They're literally sitting in the middle of residential. So a lot of people that live around there, it wasn't that hard. Just drive in, park real quick, get your meal for the day. And this is going to be a major change. I know Five Fires was not happy about it. He was like, what the, because they've been doing this for years. They go all the time. But, it was to augment your day at the park, not just to go in, park, get your free meal, and then go. We talked about it for years going, wow, what are they doing here? I mean, just even the to-go box would be $1, $2 nowadays each, just the to-go box. They were losing their shirts.
Mm-hmm. And hey, look, I don't look down, I just want to be clear, I don't look down on anybody taking advantage of some of these meal plans, at least at your local parks and everything like that. Hey, if they offer it, get it while the getting's good, let's fill her up.
Right.
But I'm just saying it does come at a cost, right? And for Six Flags, it was just too much to bear, and so that's why they're changing policy right there. And from the average guest's perspective, obviously there are consequences associated with that as well. Try to make it rain, that's like 20 if you make it yourself. Yeah, I think there's still value here. I mean, 20 meals for $140 right there? Still really good value, to be honest, right there.
Right.
I think it's still pretty generous, but there had to be a cap.
Yeah, they're saying less than $9 a meal for the all-season pass.
Yeah.
That's normally $179. And then the all-season regular, normally $240. That'd give you 30 meals, less than $8 a meal.
Right. And in California, when you're going to McDonald's, you can't even get a Big Mac for that much. So,
no, I know. For sure.
The idea that they're giving you an entire meal for that amount is still pretty good. I think it's more in line, I would say, with the valuation of food as it costs today. Magical Spark, Hershey Park meal plan, pretty good as well. Hey, that's cool. Like that. Yeah. I do like the Rogue Attraction. I'm going to put them up one more time here. $500 is like 3 dinners at Disney. It's crazy right now. How much that is. Yeah. I mean, if you go to Blue Bayou, yeah, you're up there.
If you go to Club 33, no, Blue Bayou, some of these upper dining, yeah, you can pay a lot of money.
Absolutely. I like this, our gentleman right here. Using the system, no judgment. Hey, no judgment here.
No.
Hey, if you're using the system, you're getting your meals. Get your meals. Absolutely. It's what they're for.
We're just playing the game. You set the rules. We're playing the game. It's just that it's so close to residential areas. So if it was Walt Disney World, it takes a lot longer to get in and park, and then not all the parking passes are on everybody's tiered passes, annual passes, or Magic Key, or in this sense it'd be the passes. But even the passes at Knott's Berry Farm, I mean, you're talking like $125, parking included for the year. You just can't beat it. Just to get in.
I hear you. No, it's it's quite remarkable. The increases. Argentum here. I used to just get a couple of slices of pizza or a burger and fries for $10 at Disneyland. This was the mid 2010s. I take that's not really an option anymore. There's no way. No, not for $10.
No.
Not for $10. No way.
No.
I mean, previously, you get like maybe a cheeseburger with, 4th pound Angus beef right there at Disneyland, maybe at the Hungry Bear restaurant, $8.99. Now, that same burger, $15, $16.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
sure.
mean, I remember paying outrageous prices for stuff at, what is it, Tongro Terrace, right?
Terrace,
the food establishment next to Trader Sam's. Love those burgers, love that food, but man, we were at pretty significant money there. It was like, whoa, this is going out to eat prices kind of thing.
Right. We used to
Just
go
kinda
all
crazy.
the time to we'd go to Bodine bread. I mean, because it's just like you can't get that bread. We'd get a baguette and some butter, and then that's what we would eat. It was like, this is great, because we'd usually eat a really good meal before we got there. Then you have a Bodine, maybe, and we bring our own drinks because you can bring them in. And that baguette used to only be like $2.50. Now it's more like $9, $10 now for that. It's still worth it because a whole family can eat off of it almost. It's crazy. And then you get out and then you get to In-N-Out. So it's eat a good meal, eat a Bodine baguette, and then get out and go to In-N-Out.
Yeah, you feast.
Yes.
In breakfast, you famine during your stay at Disneyland, and then you feast at In-N-Out afterwards. That's a good old family tradition right there. The very interesting thing about what you said right there, I am shocked and surprised that you can still bring in food at Disney. Like Universal, you can't. Not at all. They won't allow anything, even like a bottle of water or whatever. It's crazy.
Right.
Disneyland, though, you can still bring in food. That has got to be the next shoe to drop. I've been waiting for it for years. Not to say that I want that to happen. I'm just saying that, you can think about it from a manager's perspective, maybe like a Jeff Volley type personality. Oh, are we losing concessions because of this? Banned. That kind of thing. I'm sure it's coming someday, but today, not that day. Rogue Attraction, though, also they have limited discounts for both AP and DVC to only 10% to push people into the dining plan. That's true. Very, very good point right there. Don't have a dining plan at Disneyland, but obviously for Walt Disney World visitors, big deal. Freedom Seeker, back in the day, would go get a hot dog at Pluto's Doghouse. I believe that's Toontown. And then some beignets and julep for dessert. As a pass holder for two, like $20. I mean, to get 6 beignets now at Jazz Kitchen Express, it's like $20 now. Just the beignets. Just crazy.
Those are worth it. Those are worth it. Oh my goodness, they're worth it. Don't eat in the park. Don't eat the Mickey shaped ones. Just go out downtown Disney, go to Jazz Kitchen, and they're making them right there. Shove them in a bag of powdered sugar, shake it. They're worth it.
Gotta get the. So what'll happen at Jazz Kitchen Express is that they'll get the powdered sugar right, they'll get a scoop of it, and they'll dump it in the bag. But if you eat it like that, no good. You gotta shake the bag first, really coat those things, and then you eat. I'm just saying, deep fried dough, $20.
Yeah.
Powdered sugar, a little bit. It's a little bit.
Just watch
like
your black
it was
clothes.
Back in the old days. That's true.
Watch the black clothes. Oh my goodness.
You know me, Sky Watchers, Skyliners. Only thing I wear is this. So that's kind of consistent at the parks as well. And you get really good at eating those beignets bent fully over right there in order to prevent any of that powdered sugar from actually
it's so good
falling on you. WJB Daily here, Vash Sky ParkCast. Take food and water to Universal Studios Florida all the time, no issues. Yeah, so talking about Hollywood, is where they have these. That specific policy. Not Orlando. A little bit different. They're a little bit loose with that. At least looser than they are with Hollywood. But Hollywood, they got that locked down. It's crazy. But good to know that you can bring in stuff there. Kit Kat, Whitewater Snacks used to be a hidden secret. Wasn't crowded and decent food, decent prices. This certainly changed that. Yeah, they sure
Yes.
did, didn't they? Oh, boy.
Takes a long time to get food. One time we were there, like, it was like hours. We're like, dude, what is the deal? They ended up giving us a bunch of free meals, but we were there like, where is it? How long can this take? Because you only have 1 or 2 people there.
All right.
Working.
We gave it a shot, and it didn't work out right there. So I wanted to go ahead and feature this story right here as one of the last ones. On the Nutbury Farm coverage, though, there was one aspect. Oh, I lost it. Like I just remembered it. I lost it again. Let me see if I can find it here. There was a little bit of a policy change that people had suggested was a change, but it was actually not. But I do kind of like the language actually stated here. People were pointing out code of conduct for Nutbury Farm and how that might differ from Disneyland. If you actually scroll down here, you can see a very interesting statement right here. Unsolicited photography or video recording that disrupts a guest experience or interferes with park operations. Filming, regardless of whether the device is secured or unsecured, is prohibited on most rides and attractions. It's that first sentence, though, that's very interesting because we just covered Guests Gone Wild, right? Obviously, Chow Baby Girl right there and her disruption of the guest experience when it came to her artificial lighting. We have seen, recordings or live streams disrupt obviously the operations at the Disneyland Resort, like Oblivion actually being swatted and all of that. I understand, not his fault right there, but ultimately that live stream did disrupt a lot of maybe not so much guest experience, but certainly business operations right there. I do kind of like this verbiage because unsolicited photography or video recording that disrupts a guest experience or interferes with park operations. I think that's a nice catch-all, right, for what we're talking about right here. I think it's case by case. I don't think it's necessarily, enforced everywhere right there. But if a guest says, "Hey, look, listen, this really disrupted my my time at the park right here," obviously maybe my day was impacted or something that can be reported that Nutbury Farm in this case has a policy for. You can go to that person and say, "Hey, you know what? We've getting a lot of complaints." Boom. There you go. There's the policy. Now, again, obviously it's case by case, and I would want some investigation to take place by Nutbury Farm or any of the officials implementing this policy right here. But I like it. I like this. I think Disney should add something like this. And apparently it's been part of Nutbury Farm's policies for years. This going back 2022, at least right here, this Attractions Magazine post talking about the chaperone policy that we were talking about also with Disney. You can see right here. Let's see if I can find it. Right there. Unsolicited photography or video recording that disrupts a guest experience or interferes with park operations was featured there. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that to your attention because if there was a way for Disney to better regulate live streams, especially those larger ones like the kick streams that we've been covering so frequently here on Vash Sky ParkCast, that would be a way for them to better regulate and handle that specific issue. But Disney Fan 55, we got one more story here. This one's a doozy. We haven't covered it yet. We're going to cover it now. By Walt Disney World News Today. First look, new Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party cast member costumes prompt negative online reactions. This is by Austin Houghton, July 31st, 2026. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party cast members appear to be getting a significantly darker and considerably less festive new look in 2026. And yes, people who might not be familiar right here, you can see that, yes, this has been a cast member costume update right here, already put in place for the first Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. This was by Mike here, August 7th. I want to go to Mike's article because you can actually see the before featured here and what these costumes used to look like. And you can see there were 2 types of costumes, one for males or male identifying, and then females or female identifying right there. You can see the various costumes in place. One featured a skirt, one featured pants, all of that, vest, the whole getup for this costume, right? And now you get this. Very kind of interesting. If we actually see an extended look at this new costume, you can see no matter the gender or affiliation, both feature either pants or shorts, and I'm sure that's up to the discretion of that particular cast member right there. I look at something like this, and a lot of people were like, oh, hey, this is going to be a lot more comfortable, right? There's a lot less pieces, going to be less hot, which might be true. And I say might be because, well, from what I understand, the materials, the recycled materials that Disney's so fond of using for so many of their costumes, right, for cast members, apparently don't breathe. So it's not in every case that you'll be getting a cooler costume right there. Maybe in this case it is, but I guess we'll have to go by the testimonials of cast members that relay their experiences right there. Have not seen that yet. But I look at this and I have a couple problems with it. One, doesn't distinguish between gender. We'll get to that in just a moment. The other thing, too, with this is that this is an event that takes place in the evening, okay? With the previous costumes, you can see they're very bright, they're very colorful. You can see them easily when nightfall dawns right there, right? Because this is an evening event, you would think that the character costumes, or cast member costumes, I should say, would be consistent with that philosophy. But apparently they didn't do that. They went with something much darker. And it's evocative of the Haunted Mansion, which, nice enough, I guess. But I just don't see the same creativity. I don't see the same quality imbued in these new cast member costumes as previously done. And again, I think with all those parts and pieces, well, cheaper for Disney to give you something like this. You get around some of those issues regarding gender and gender identification, right? Now with the new cast member policies when it comes to the Disney look, now if you are female identifying, let's say, you can wear, a costume that was restricted only to females previously back in the day. Which is very, very interesting. So this gets around that issue, right? This might have been one of the reasons why they updated actually the costume associated with the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. Obviously, we've seen those viral videos, and I think they were looking to do something about that particular issue, maybe resort-wide, starting with maybe a couple of costumes that are seasonal. In this case, Mickey's Not So Scary. Fine enough. Also, too, well, maybe perhaps, when you have cast members who might be a little bit larger in stature, this might be beneficial to them as well. Not sure, but I did hear that commentary, too. I just look at this, though, and I don't know, man. I just think it's yet another diminishment right here. Again, it's a small thing, but if a resort complex like Walt Disney World is an assemblage of the small things, I don't know. It's just not so great to have this costume update in this way. And if it was, I don't know, decided because of maybe the changes to the Disney look and being more inclusive, well, I can't say I would be surprised, but how many other decisions are we going to be making informed by that presupposition? Very, very interesting indeed. Disney 55, what do you think about these new costumes right here? Look, I am maybe not fashion inclined because I happen to wear just one color, but what say you? Maybe perhaps these look better, look worse to you? What do you think?
I would be horrified to have to wear that. I just would. The shorts don't make you look good. The pants don't make you look good at all. Nobody. So nobody looks good. And they are very dark. And
we all don't look good together.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No. And they, like, I'm just thinking of Galaxy's Edge, where they had all of these different pieces, hats and, garments and robes. And so the cast members could pick from all of these different parts and to make their costume. They're only giving them like 5 things. That's it.
Yeah.
To differentiate themselves.
I think it's maybe even less than that. I think it's like I think it was like the bow tie or like the hair clip or whatever. I think it's like those 2 items that really differentiates. Well, I guess shorts and pants as well, but it's kind of like, man, like you look at those festive costumes. I know a lot of people are saying it right now. Look at those festive costumes that they used to have years ago here. I thought they were, they're bright, but makes sense when it's an evening event. And it just, I don't know, it just puts you in a different mood, a different feel, I guess, consistent with the event. Now you get something like this, and I don't know, it just looks not as special, I guess, right?
Well, I just think I thought it was supposed to be not so scary party. They just turned it into kind of scary party. I mean, they just don't look good. They just don't look good wearing them. They're dark. And again, I think the not so scary parties primarily for children. So you think about, I was just thinking, say you were in a hospital and you were in a children's hospital. A lot of the doctors and nurses will pick very, very bright scrubs because it's a happy time. It's festive. These just don't seem festive.
Yeah.
They're just way too dark. Yeah. So they've got like five choices to make themselves look different.
Well, I don't know how you're really supposed to distinguish between cast members and not when you're wearing this kind of clothing.
True.
When night has fallen, that I think could be kind of an issue, kind of a concern right there. Obviously, I don't think it's necessarily a safety concern. I think you'd be able to distinguish between both cast member and guest if forced to or you had to, but it doesn't necessarily make it easier. In fact, it makes it, I think, in my opinion, much harder. And look, obviously the previous cast member costumes had a lot of parts and pieces to it, and when you are being led via spreadsheet on what decisions you actually make in order to mitigate costs, right, in order to increase profits, it's not surprising that they would have made a decision like this. It's just disappointing that yet another thing is lost because of cost cutting, because of the culture, I think, that has manifested within Disney. And that's a real shame, because it used to be show first, it used to be quality first, it used to be very guest oriented, and now we're taking a back seat because of any one proclivity, which is it's not fantastic. I don't mean just identification, but I also mean costs and everything else associated with it. Remy D says this is what I wear on a regular basis. Yeah, exactly. Is it necessarily special? I don't know. Freedom Seeker was tucked. Yeah, it's a good comment. Can't read it, but a little bit of it. You can surmise. 21 Row with Cheese here. Is this another decision by the CEO computer? Yeah, I mean,
they know better. They
do know better, right? Jeff
Way
Alley.
better. There's a bunch of things behind the scenes that you don't know, and
That's
they
true.
know better, and they're not going to
exactly.
listen. It would be really interesting. I don't know. I've never been a cast member. It'd have been neat to do that, I think. But I wonder if they got any input from them at all, in this. And again, it would have been easy if they, had that the apron, a bright colored apron or something over it. Man, I'd wanna hide those pants and shorts myself with an apron,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah, you would think so.
But they know better.
They know better. I think the line is, "Mother knows best." I think it's kind of what there's a song for that, actually.
Absolutely.
Freedom Seeker right here meant the shirts, Vash. Meant the shirts. Okay, that's fair enough. I guess it is an option, right? I'm looking at this. Looks like you have untucked shirts and tucked shirts right there. So it looks like that is up to cast member discretion as well, which is interesting. Salary for a cast member, I mean, it's a few dollars above minimum wage in those respective jurisdictions right there. So that's typically what it is. John Make It Rain, $29,000, $33,000 after taxes. Not sure, but sounds plausible to me. Looks so cheap, like Temu costumes. Yeah, it does, and they have like a diamond configuration of skeletons on there. It's very hard to see that even on HD photos, like the ones we're seeing right here from Block Mickey. Like, you can't actually make out what's on that shirt unless you get real close to it. Again, bizarre decisions being made right here. And do they have something to do with the updates to the Disney look? Maybe. It's possible. I wouldn't be surprised. To deal with 10th right here. God in heaven, war crime. Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad. I gotta be honest. It's really, really bad. It's no good. Was there something that you wanted to bring up, Disney Man 55, before clearing on out and making way for Ron's amazing show over there on the deck?
Yes. Kit Kat, just looking at the material, you can tell they won't breathe and will be super hot. Remember, they start their parties in August. I mean, it's hot. Right now it's going to be like 112 today, and 100% humidity probably. Hope they have good deodorant. Well, they're not going to wear deodorant if they were staying at the Boulders, because they are saying no water, no deodorant. So it doesn't matter.
Brought it all the way back around right here.
All the way back around.
Water.
I would say if you make me wear these, I'm not wearing deodorant. There you go. Just like the water.
I mean, you're well within your ability not to do that. I don't know if you'll have a job, but you're well within your right to not wear the deodorant, the dreaded deodorant, especially with no water.
No water.
Member for 4 months, by the way. Thank you so much for that, for being a member for all that time. Do you still plan to do Electrical Parade Show? Yes. Do very much still plan to do the Electrical Parade Show. Really want to do it. In fact, I was actually going to cover some D23 predictions and so forth. That's part of it. But I really do want to do Electrical Parade. Trust me, we're still doing that. It's just, it might move in the schedule just a little bit based on what actually comes out with D23. So might have to wait just a couple more weeks. But trust me, we are definitely going to do that. So Freedom Seeker, thank you so much for asking that for sure. Also, too, we've had a number of costume updates for Electrical Parade. Very, very interesting indeed. All right. I think it just about concludes right here our range of stories right here. I do appreciate you staying on for the full 2 hours right there. That is awesome. Love to see that. Covered some interesting stuff, some stuff that's off the beaten path, maybe you hadn't heard about, but is stuff worth covering for sure. For all those cast members working Mickey's Not So Scary, well, good luck with those scary looking costumes. Oof, not good right there. You can find Disney 55 actually at her. Why is everything cut off? I don't know why that's done. Okay, now it fixed itself. Weird. Disney 55, you can see her at right there. You can find her on X. Very, very cool stuff indeed. Definitely worth a follow. I know she's always retweeting stuff and adding commentary to so many things out there on the interwebs on X and various platforms. So definitely check her out. You can also find me on at Vash Sky. Actually, my X account was featured in a Braden video on Mickey Views right there. He just had a big old video about maybe the upcoming enhancements coming to Space Mountain. That might be announced at D23 Expo, or the Ultimate Fan event, over the weekend right there. And sure enough, you see Vash Sky up there. That's pretty cool.
That's
awesome
so cool.
stuff.
We got to try to get him on.
With the arrow. With the arrow, which is pretty cool.
Fantastic.
So that was pretty awesome. Love that. Love Braden. He's so good. Just a phenomenal content creator. And a lot of people were happy to see him back producing a video. So that was very, very cool. I'd expect to see more of that around this D23 Expo time. It's a big time, wonderful time right there. We will have more information pertaining to a possible live stream over the weekend. I just have to coordinate with that Park Place and those guys over there to figure out what we're going to do. I would hate to split the audience. So I need a little bit more clarification, but plan on a watch along or something either on Vash Sky ParkCast or that Park Place. Should be very, very cool. More information will be coming very, very soon. All right, I think that just about wraps us up right here. Awesome show, an amazing show. We've actually got to see, let's see, I do believe we're watching Brand New Day.
Yes.
Should be very, very interesting. But got to get to that, and we got to watch The Dish. Ron, I know, is setting up right now. I think he started his live stream, which he usually does. Let's go ahead and get on over to there. And remember, tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, that's when we'll have our next Vash Sky ParkCast live stream. Should be a whole lot of fun. I'll have that poll out there, too, if you want to go ahead and move that time around. I think we're in a good place, but I know a lot of people are like, hey, we need more Vash Sky ParkCast, and I'm happy to give it to you. So, until next time, remember, guys, Skywatchers, Skyliners, the sky is the limit.